So the QR code tipping we already had in place with another vendor that, basically we had it set up where our housekeeping team and our engineering team had little business card size cards that they could, leave in the room when they did turn down service, or if they came and fixed a, broken mini fridge or whatever. They could leave that for you, and it invites the guest to leave a comment, and if they're feeling generous, a gratuity for that person. So, TipHaus offering the QR code function, comes, basically at no extra cost. Once you've signed up for the regular TipHaus functionality. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us from that perspective. All the functionality was one-to-one, including the branding and the ability to have our unique branding attached to everything, the ability to accept comments about the team members, which is something that, from a team member experience is really important to us. It's obviously we want our team members to make as much money as possible. And if people want to tip them, we want to facilitate a means for that to happen. But also if people want to say like, hey, such and such was lovely. I saw her in the hall every morning and she was so nice and thank you so much. That kind of stuff is really important to us too. And so, having that functionality there was really great. And then, the other advantage actually to TipHaus was this other vendor did not integrate with our timekeeping system. So there was kind of still a manual process with that, because it was, if you wanted to pool things, you still had to pull reports out of the timekeeping system and then enter everything into a spreadsheet to spread out the tips, which, is a bit of a time savings because you don't have to manually figure out everybody's tips, but still TipHaus brought in a much slicker kind of process. So yeah, overall, that was also a huge win and one that we've been touting in a lot of places because that other vendor had been previously kind of the solution of choice for us. So
yeah, you mentioned the logo and whatnot, but how customizable was the guest experience with the QR code?
Yeah, very. So like, for instance, we wanted to make sure that it was only a first name that's on the cards and on the platform when you sign in. We didn't want to give people full names just for security reasons, obviously. That was a really important point of customization. I mean, in terms of like, inserting, you can see in the QR code that's in the top right of Steve's screen, there's a logo right in the middle of the QR code. So we were able to customize that on ours to be the hotel brand logo. The overall colorway of the app is customizable, so you can match that to your brand colors. I forget if we were able to do font down to that level of detail, but by the time you've gotten into it, it looks like a branded app for the hotel specifically, and not, some secondary platform service. So from that perspective, yeah, very customizable and great. And, also, the ways of implementation. So what we chose to do was build on Canva, like individual business card style cards for each person. And you can just drag and drop their individual QR codes in there, which is speaking of your allocation questions, is also relevant, that you can do individual QR codes per team member, or you can do an individual QR code per team. So I could, put on my menus if I wanted to say like, hey, if you want to tip the kitchen, scan this QR code. So you could put a QR code on your menu and do that. You could put a QR code at your front desk and say, hey, if you want to tip the valet team or the front desk team or whomever, just scan this, and you could do a pool with that. And as I mentioned earlier, because TipHaus integrates with our timekeeping system, it's super easy to then say, okay, we've pulled in X amount of dollars to that pool, and all of these job codes had this number of hours per this number of team members during that. And so that makes the allocation process really slick and easy, which is great. And then obviously also you can do it individually by team member, in which case, the allocation process is pretty straightforward. I tipped this person $5, so that person gets $5.